Hey, all my Taurus friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here with your July 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Taurus, I'm referencing Taurus rising. This is also applicable to Taurus sun, Taurus moon. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Taurus, this is applicable to you as well. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. Let's jump in with the first thing that hits me is when I look at this is the opposition between Mercury and Pluto. This is your third house, Taurus. The third house is the house where the soul first experiences itself outside of the home. It interacts with the community, the neighborhood, my work, my teammates, my schoolmates. It represents how I think and how I feel. And Mercury here would very much have thoughts of a Cancerian nature, of the thoughts of home, safety, property, the homestead, potentially childhood memories. And the opposition to Pluto here could very much bring up career aspirations. Aquarius is your 10th house of career, and Pluto is retrograding. It will scoot back into your 9th house of Capricorn in the fall. And this is going to illuminate some deep psychological dynamics that could either be holding you back from what you want to experience in your career because there are obligations within your home, within your potentially even your own children, but also potentially within your own sense of self, your mind. Right now, we see that Mercury is at 28 degrees. Pluto is at 1 degree. 28 reduces down to a 10, and obviously the 1 is a 10. I'm sorry. 28 reduces down to a 10, which reduces down to a 1. Pluto is at 1. This is significant. We also see the sun is at a 10, which reduces down to a 1. While they're not in aspect to these two planets, there's a theme going on in the chart. The nodes are at 11 degrees right now, master number of thought. We have Neptune at 29 degrees about to go retrograde on the 2nd, and that 29 reduces down to an 11, the master number of thought. Saturn is retrograde at 19 degrees and will remain at 19 degrees for approximately 6 weeks before it starts movement again. So it's been here at this degree that is a 10, reduces down to a 1. This is a theme in the stars about how do I think? Being aware of the monkey mind and the psychological imprint that created the monkey mind. It kind of like this is a kind of a mundane example, but you could have lived in a home where people said money doesn't grow on trees. So in the back of your mind, you're always thinking you have to effort to make money or that money is not easily attainable. This could be an opposition. And Pluto would be saying money, as you focus on abundance, abundance will come to you. Aquarius, thinking in the future, innovation, connecting to the stars, the divine laws of the universe. So this is a huge theme as the month starts. And I think this is a theme that will permeate most of our planetary activity as we experience the retrogrades. And then we go into a time when in the next year or so, when Neptune will move into Aries and Pluto will have settled into Aquarius. And those two will make a sextile to each other. And then Neptune is making a sextile to Uranus. And this is a long-term, years long. The sextile between Pluto and Neptune will be over 10 years. And the one between Neptune and Uranus is like 4 years, maybe 5 years plus. And this is significant because the deep dive of Pluto, the connection to spirit and turning, darkness into wisdom through meditation and through our spiritual practices and using our spiritual tools. And then Uranus offers us liberation and freedom from it and a sense of self-expression. But this is a pacing over years that's happening to the planet as a whole. And the more awareness we demonstrate within our own personal lives, the more rapid that energy will permeate and root in our everyday experiences. So I think that this opposition is going to create some kind of outward block, obstacle, something that's going to trigger me. And I get to do a little bit more than a superficial examination of it. We also see that Mercury is making a trine to Neptune and a sextile to Uranus. So here is this opportunity to look to the future, to look beyond the mundane, the everyday little short bits of information that I pick up on the news, or, I read as I'm scrolling. There's an opportunity to examine that information. And if it fuels your fears, it fuels your trepidation, it fuels your lack of confidence, that's one of the shadow sides of the Cancer energy, then you have an opportunity to look it square in the eye and, start to reframe it through spiritual practices. One of those practices could be something like reminding yourself, everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. And even if you don't necessarily can't really grasp that and root it in, just starting that verbiage is going to shift the dynamic and liberate you in some way. There's a lot going on here with history. Pisces rules ancestral history of the soul. Taurus rules the history of our childhood and how we perceived it and how it created our confidence and our feelings of support and love. And then the Cancer energy represents literally home and hearth and the maternal experience. So this is how the month starts, with a bang. Now let's go to the second, and we see that we've got the retrograde started with Neptune. Neptune started its retrograde, and we see that Saturn is making an aspect to Venus, a trine, which is very powerful because Venus is moving forward, but Saturn is moving backwards. And I think for my Tauruses specifically, that this is a revisit of the conversation that Venus had with Saturn when they were conjunct in the early part of the year about putting in structure to birth my talents into the earthly experience. And here we're talking about Libra balance. 19 degrees is the Libra degree. Again, the 19 reduces down to a 10. The 10 infers, how am I thinking? What am I thinking? We've got little 2 ones here. And then I just realized that on this chart, their 11th house, this happens to be the 11th house. It is your 3rd house, not the 11th house. Now Saturn's making a sextile to Mars. And this 17 degree is the Leo degree. So that's having courage and being brave and standing up tall for what it is that I want to experience and I want to birth in this world. And this is traversing your 1st house, Taurus. So Mars is not in its most fiery energy, but this does not mean that Mars is diminished in its ability to take action. The difference here is that Mars has to walk on the ground. He doesn't have a horse now, or he doesn't have a plane. So he's going to have to traverse the landscape of the earth. And in that, he learns about the signs and the omens and the way nature works for us. So this is very powerful. And this sextile to Saturn feels kind of natural to me. I find things so funny when I really think about it, the astrology, because Mars and Saturn are supposedly a push-pull energy. And yet Mars is exalted in Capricorn that Saturn rules. So to me, this is just about mentorship. It's about, the young buck at Mars learning the wisdom of time and of experience. And here, this is all about balance and about asserting yourself, meaning your desires, your wants, the things that make you feel alive, frankly. Now, we also see that on this day, Mercury has moved into Leo. So this could bring up, all sorts of thoughts of fun and romance, and Leo's your 4th house. So, this could bring up, it could bring up 2 things. It could bring up the idea that, because the 4th house, Leo, could indicate that the mother energy was quite large in your life. And that might be something that comes up in this opposition. We're going to experience over this month, Taurus, first Mercury, then Venus, and then the Sun, all experiencing the opposition with Pluto. So there's going to be thoughts of how you live your life, how you were raised, in the sense of, did they think you were smart? Did they think that you were creative? You know, what we all get those names. This is my busy baby. This is my little me, you know, and these leave imprints on us that Pluto collects. And as a result of that collection, we make these decisions that aren't always as conscious as we think they are. Then, so I think this is important. We still see that there's a trine here, so that between Venus and Saturn, and the sextile between Venus and Mars. And the only little challenge would be there's starting to be a square between a wound being revealed. And that could be indicated by this Mercury opposing Pluto. And I want to offer this because everything that has this challenging dynamic has an opportunity to reward. So when we're looking at Aries in your 12th house, and Chiron being in that aspect to growing aspect to Venus, it's really asking about your skills, about your individualizing yourself and allowing yourself to experiment with that before you decide exactly how it's going to play out. Let me be a little more clear. Taurus rules your self-confidence as a result of your history. Your ruling planet here is in a favorable aspect to reviewing your history, which may bring up some old wounds about how people allowed you to be an individual, or how they perceived it, or how you perceived the reception of that. There may be old angers or resentments about that will never quite flatten down, you know, but they can be supported by Venus and Mars's willingness to look at the landscape with a little more detail. Sometimes the things that create challenges for us are actually the things that propel us again into certain areas. And we still see a theme of the ones running around the chart. Now the sun is 11 degrees, you know, the nodes are still at 11 degrees. The moon's even at 1 degree at this time. So the way we think, and this is what I want to offer, Taurus. It's not about trying to wrestle positivity into your thoughts. It's having an awareness is this line of thought and this focus serving where I want to go, or is it just putting me in a cul-de-sac where I'm going around and around and around? Now we have on the 5th, a new moon. This new moon in Cancer is at 3:57 p.m. and it is sandwiched between two full moons in Capricorn. So the way that I feel this is that this is an opportunity to plant the seeds for whatever has come into my awareness through the Mercury and Pluto opposition. So the resolution of that. And that resolution is in the form of how it feels when I am in alignment to whatever is most precious to me. This new moon is in Cancer, yes, but it's at the 14th degree. And that 14th degree is a Venusian degree, the Taurus side of Venus. And I know I'm really weird about numbers, but I am. 23 minutes is the Aquarian, the liberating, in some ways rebellion. So I think that this has a strong opportunity as you plant the seeds for what you want with your ruling planet within 8 degrees, of this moon, giving you an opportunity to put out a leap of faith on some level. That's the way I want to frame it. Venus is still in a trine to Saturn. She's in a growing trine to Neptune, who is one of her best friends. She loves being in Pisces, and she's still in favor with Mars, in willing to take action in a way that is looking at things from a ground level. And when I say ground level, I have my feet firmly planted on the ground. Sometimes when we make a mistake or we have a hiccup or we have a disruption, it's actually a tool that makes us stronger moving forward. It provides a piece of information that we would not have had otherwise. There's also an aspect to the nodes with this new moon. The squaring of this new moon to the nodes, it represents a tense awareness, whether I'm going to default to being cooperative with other people's agenda, or will I be a little bit more intentional about asserting myself in what I want for me. I don't mean to sound like I promote selfishness, but what I know is that happy people attract happiness and happy things around them. So if we had more people who focused on their own happiness, then they would attract more happy people and we would have a happier planet. But that's not really the case right now, because we're infused with fear and with, the I can't of life. And this North Node is saying I can. And at the 10th degree, again, the theme of how I think, but this is also now the Capricorn degree. We have 2 Capricorn full moons illuminating some structures that are no longer serving us. And Saturn is in trine to this new moon. Again, 19 degrees reduces down to a 10, that Libra degree creating balance. We even see the nodes. When I look even closer, I see the nodes at 46 minutes, which also reduces down to a 10. I hope that I'm not driving you all crazy, but I can't help but have these subtleties almost leaping off the screen at me, giving me the detail and the keys to the kingdom of manifestation. So that's pretty fabulous. Let's go back to 12 o'clock, which is sort of the general time we use. And we're going to go now to the 11th, where Venus has moved into Leo. And she has her opposition with Pluto up. Now the themes are of self-worth, of are you good enough? Are you talented enough? Are you pretty enough? Are you handsome enough? Are you built enough? Do you have enough money? Are you standing in a place where everybody will like you? And Pluto's saying, no, not everybody's going to like you. And Venus may have trouble with that because she likes to be liked. But, when you're in the game of your own creation, it's kind of nice to have people who don't like you, because you know that you're really in the game. Because it's just the way we roll. Everyone has their own opinion. So this is something that I think is just gonna, it might feel a little bit like you just got over Mercury and now, oh dear, here's Venus. But with the awareness you garnish through the Mercury transit and opposition to Pluto, this can be a new beginning, as referenced as that 0 degree. And again, these things don't come in easily. I can't say that they're lickety split, but they are the epiphanies and the awarenesses that we have can very well be rooted in a deep and long-lasting rooted shift in vibration. Now let's just joke around with these ones again. Okay, so the sun's at 19 degrees. Jupiter's at 10 degrees, 19th degree, again, reduces down to a 10 reduces down to a 1. Look at the nodes are at a 10. Still, we knew that Neptune will be at 29 degrees for quite some time, and Saturn's still at 19 degrees, and Pluto's at 1 degree. So this is just, all over the place, saying to me, be aware of how you think and what you're focusing in on, and is it working for you? And do you have to be perfect at something to be valuable at it? Or is the journey of discovery of failure and success what's the real brass ring? That's what I think is going on here. Now, on this day, as Venus enters Leo, we also see we're growing conjunction here with Mars and Uranus. And this is going to become exact on the 15th. And I got to tell you, this feels like a very polarizing time. Those few days before and after this conjunction feel like we could very easily see shocking and unexpected violence in certain places in the world. We could see people who we never argue with in a million years have arguments that have devastating, meaning there could be relationships in some ways, friendships, arguments with people that in our environment. I don't necessarily think that has to be somebody within the family per se, but I do think that there's the potential. That's on an unconscious level. meaning, you know, you're just banging around the earth, doing your everyday stuff, and then this might come out of nowhere. Now, at the same time, those that have been standing in awareness have some real opportunity here to take advantage of all the reflection they've been doing about how their mind defaults. And when it defaults, do I criticize it and judge it, or do I just roll on to the thought that serves where I want to go? We're still seeing the theme of the ones going on. But here we're seeing the theme of transformation in the form of that 26th degree. It reduces down to an 8. 8 is an abundant number. But look at the minutes. The minutes are 28 minutes and 19 minutes. Both reduced down to 10, which reduced down to a 1. The 26th degree is the Venusian degree. It's the Taurus Venusian degree. We go 23 Aquarius, 24 Pisces, 25 is Aries, 26 is again that Taurus. So here, this is all about you and about a reconciliation of your history, how it served you to either rebel against it, like you were always taught that money doesn't grow on trees, then you knew how to create money that will grow on trees. You know, who knows, maybe you're into botany or you're into, you know, landscaping, and you're literally making money out of trees. This dynamic is making a beautiful aspect to Pluto. Now, you know, again, the planets aren't easy. Pluto's never easy. Mars is not easy on its initial meeting or entry into a situation. But what we're going to see here is that as Pluto moves to the 0 degree and Mars moves into Gemini, these co-rulers of Scorpio have done their work. And there's a real opportunity through awareness to start to demonstrate that. And let's go there, because this is kind of a fun, I hope it's going to be fun. That's all I can say. There's always, you know, there's always all those other co-creators out there. Oh, let me go a little further in the day. And we'll see that Mars has moved into 0 degrees of Gemini. Now, when Mars does this, this is an exact trine to Pluto. And this is where I believe that in the year 2022, 2023, Mars spent 7 months in Gemini. That's your second house of your skills and your money and your family history, and the house you naturally rule. During that period of time, Mars became acutely aware of being too pushy, being too harsh, being too impatient, you know, all the shadow sides of Mars. Now Mars has been 2 years later practicing all the skills of diplomacy, of bravery, of being assertive without being pushy, of being intentional without being harsh. And now it's coming back into your second house to practice those skills once again. But this time it's supported by Pluto. And I believe it's supported by Saturn as well, because Saturn, well, this moon is going to move quickly. I believe that Saturn overall is offering us an opportunity as it transits through Pisces. And Pisces is your 11th house of hopes and dreams, that you'll have this opportunity to root in your connection to a bigger source, meaning it's God, your angels, source energy, the universe, whatever name you want to give it is fine with the universe, but having that as your go-to, you know, your confidant, your partner, your daily practices of meditation, of awareness, of intentionality will really support the trine between Pluto and Uranus and Mars. And as it moves into this house of the neighborhood of you know, this is a very quick moving Gemini, very quick moving, and the growing conjunction with Jupiter we don't know what it can do for your, you know, birthing a much broader platform for you to operate on. That's the way I want to put that. Okay. Now we see on the 21st, we're going to have that second full moon in Capricorn, which is going to put the moons back on track to their normal cycle of new moon, full moon within a month. We've been experiencing full moon, new moon since last October, when we had 2 full moons in Aries. Now, you know, the first thing I saw was this has one big opposition, which is what a full moon is. And of course, Pluto's involved here. We knew that was coming all month, but the moon here feels so beautifully blessed by Pluto, meaning I've come into some sort of awareness. The 29th degree is this full moon in Capricorn. The 29 reduces down to an 11. Do I sound like a harper right now in trying to express how powerful this really is? Now, because this is an illumination, an awareness, and it's we saw it start with that first full moon in Capricorn. Then we planted the seeds in that Cancer new moon, and now we have this almost culmination of awareness. And here's Venus at 11 degrees of Leo. We've got the 29s to here. We've got the 29 and the 19. I don't want to repeat myself every time, but each one reducing down to that one, which is adding up to Spirit saying, watch how you're thinking, Taurus. Are you stuck in your history? Are you telling the same story? Or will you start to tell the story of your revolution, your innovation, the story that you want to live versus maybe a story that has been historically assigned to you? I think this is really powerful. We've got this focal point of Pluto and Mars, now the moon joining it for these few hours, giving us an emotional awareness and liberation. And that's all focused towards Neptune. And it comes as a result of, rather than trying to escape the challenge, I'm learning how to look at it as a platform, a divine disruption that is here to serve me and potentially break up something I was unaware of that was sitting underneath the surface, Pluto. Okay, on the 22nd, we will see the sun move into Leo. Hold on, let me get there. And now we've got this opposition. Now, by the time the sun gets there, this is maybe the quickest of the transits, but it's on the heels of that new moon. So to me, there is, again, some sort of new beginning, zeros, the purity of something being offered to me as I venture out in a more brave way. And this is how I think being brave. This is my creative talent. I really like it. I think I'm good at this. I think this brings me joy. And so when I share that in the outside world, I'm not worrying about whether the outside world is getting the joy. And so therefore, trusting the divine laws of the universe that I've been practicing, I now see how, well, I don't see at this particular point, but in the opposition, I can start to feel that the more I stand in my own authenticity, the more that works for me. The sun is in a sextile to brave Mars over here and into this spiritual feeling that we get from Neptune I want to offer this to you, Taurus. One of my spiritual tools is, I call it the be, do, have. And I ask myself, what is my attitude? What is my disposition? What is my belief about this situation? The be. And when I identify that I'm in alignment with a joyous energy, then I take my action. That is supported here. And this opposition is giving me some sort of new beginning to start to practice that awareness. 29 reduces down to an 11. Mars is at 1 degree, and there's my new beginning. This is just cracks me up, I got to tell you, when I look at it all. Okay, now let's go to the 26th, when Mercury will move into its domicile of Virgo. Virgo is your fifth house. This is your, having a Virgo fifth house really gives you an ability to continue to do the process, to be thoughtful and analytical and practical in your personal and unique expression. That's the way I want to put it. And you've spent most of the month examining your thoughts. And now with Mercury in its domicile in your fifth house, you may be inspired to start to take action. And in taking that action, you could inadvertently default into an old habit that you have been intending to be aware of without realizing it. Some sort of excitement could create a default back into an old energy. And this, again, is nothing to criticize, but yet just to allow yourself the ebb and the flow of that, and looking at it as more of a journey of awareness than it is a destination. Because the Mercury square between Uranus and Mars in Gemini feels very much about like almost backtracking a little bit from the epiphanies I've had, but I don't do it knowingly. I do it unconsciously because I have this deep imprint that I'm not even aware of. So you start to, let's give you an example. You as a Taurus decide, okay, I'm going to start this process. I want to build this. I want to build a garden. And I start thinking about, I need window boxes and I need soil and I need, and inadvertently I go into the costs. And as I start to examine and think about the costs, I inadvertently get into scarcity. Now I want to offer this idea because this could be about money. Because here's Venus in Leo expressing herself, making a quincunx blind spot now to Saturn at 18 degrees, where a moment ago they were kumbaya and all getting along. Now something has defaulted. And we see that evidenced by the trine to Chiron. So there's an opportunity for that default to turn into an awareness and then an intention. So I inadvertently go into feeling frugal or feeling like there's not enough resources. And then my awareness of feeling that allows me to go back to spirit and say, okay, all the resources I need are coming to me easily and often. And I start using my voice, my vibration into the universe to support my long-term goals, turning the wound into a gift and emotional awareness here. But again, the moon moves so quickly. So this is interesting. All right, now let's just gander over to the end of the month. Now we have Pluto is a little bit not so in play in our everyday life as it was with these three personal planets in their opposition. But we do see that Pluto is now in a square and a half to Jupiter. And, this could be that a new awareness that we've been fostering all month long, as evidenced by the trine, again, in your first house, to your liberating Uranus. Now I could be anxious for it. I could want it now, bigger, more. I don't want to deal anymore with the yesteryear. But I think it's very important for Taurus to realize that yesteryear could be very much a part of how you develop or what compelled you or inspired you into your talents or into the expression of those talents. We see that the nodes are supporting Mars right now, as Mars is getting into a conjunction with Jupiter. So your awareness in this moment, that taking action sort of, I want to offer it this way. Mars moves quickly, Jupiter expands things, and Gemini by nature is very quick. So we go from this methodical Taurian energy in your first house to wanting to move very, very quickly. And I think that was better supported in continuing to pace and remembering that the mental loop and the awareness of whether it's serving you or not, no judgment. Judgment's not part of the story, just an awareness so that a shift can take place. Right here, we see a square growing between Saturn and Jupiter. And that could be, old stories coming up for revision in some way to revisit and to reframe in my mind's eye and in my heart, which helps my soul. All right, that's it for me for my my July 2024. I want to thank you, Taurus, for being here. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we do live readings every week. We look at the chart, we look at the transits, and then we do a tarot card and an angel reading for every sign. So I hope you'll join me. Thanks so much. I'll see you in August. Bye-bye.